The swimsuit's nice, but you have to lose the tattoo. You can't win Miss America that way. Sorry. Can't. How's that for a Friday night start? Yeah, there's controversy brewing for Sunday night's Miss America contest. We'll talk about it in a second. Marianne, because you want to talk about controversy. And she needs no introduction. Marianne Sorrentino. Yes, Marianne Sorrentino. She's still hanging around, and she's as, how would you say, articulate and tough as ever. And I'll probably, by the end of the show, by the time we get to our third segment tonight, I'm just going to sit back and let her go. So don't go anywhere. This is a special program. Let's go to the rundown and check to see what we've got. That little brat Assad, did you hear what he said in the last 24 hours? We'll talk about it. As a Jersey guy, and by the way, us Rhode Islanders, in a way, we're Jersey people. I'll explain that. I'm just bleeding for the folks on the shore. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. And he walked right into it again. The Speaker of the House sat with Tim White on Newsmakers and did it again. We'll show you. What else do we have on the rundown this evening? We're studying the sales tax. You know what? I just want a big idea. I'm going to ask you for the big idea. And like I said at the top, we got a tattoo controversy with Miss America. And it's a prayerful controversy, but a controversy nonetheless. And look, if we can't get some receivers, we're not going to get a Super Bowl championship around here. Let's get to it. So, in Syria, it's still the top story in the world, the country, and we got to talk about it. We got a headline regarding what's happening in Syria. I asked the question, what to do with the little brat. Assad says U.S. threats must stop. You know what? You ever see you remember when you were a kid, there was the little kid who was the wise guy who would pick a fight with the big kid. Then the big kid sets off and says, you know what, I'm going to kick your, and the little kid gets squeaky. Until another big kid comes up and sides with the little kid, and then the little kid gets behind the other big kid and starts mouthing off again. That's what Assad is. Here he is mouthing off again.
Отказались от химического оружия. Так что это была неправда. Американцы начали говорить об этом только после саммита G20 в России. И что нас действительно подтолкнуло.
And you know what's funny about that? I thought maybe we would actually hear some English. But you know what? When he's speaking Arabic, he's making the same sense as he does when he speaks English. So what the hell? What's the difference? I mean, this guy is infuriating me. Here's what the president has got to do. Ignore him. At this point, ignore him. He's made a deal with Russia. Russia has stood up now and said, we will manage the chemical weapons plant, okay? The dilemma the president has is what to do with the next 2 weeks when he said, let's postpone the resolution to authorize my military strike. I got an idea for the president. Maybe he should ask for an indefinite postponement of that authorization while he looks to Assad and says, listen, guess what? If you screw this up this time, we're not going to need Congress's authorization. Maybe that'll send the message. All right, let's move quickly. Seaside, New Jersey. Now, I'm a Jersey kid. All right? I grew up down there and did a lot of partying down there as a kid and have a lot of remembrance of family vacations at Seaside. Did you see the fire? It is just unmanageable. I mean, Sandy went ahead and destroyed the Jersey Shore, and now we got this to deal with. Governor Christie called a press conference earlier today to kind of respond, and it's almost irrelevant what he has to say, other than the most poignant part.
We need to let the fire investigation team do their job.
Yeah, and all of that and all of that. The most poignant part about this really is that he said he was just sick to his stomach over it, and so all of us are. There's no moral to this story. All I'm asking is for some sympathetic thoughts and prayers, because you know what? At the end of the day, as a guy who grew up in Jersey and has lived in Rhode Island a long time, we're the same kin. Yeah, I often call Rhode Island North Jersey because we all act the same way, and when I'm in Jersey, I call it South Rhode Island. Just feel good about those folks, and when they fix it, go down and spend some money. I mean, they don't deserve this. We don't deserve the kind of debacle we got with 38 Studios. We all know that. The guy who's really at the head of all of this and is being able to avoid accountability for the head of all this is House Speaker Gordon Fox. Tim White had him on Newsmakers. Now, this is a clip for this weekend's programming in Newsmakers. Check your listings on Channel 12 and Fox for this all-important show. Nobody gets away with anything with Tim, and you can get a sense that it didn't happen here either. Listen to this on the question of Curt Schilling's deal and the $75 million and the big blowout and blah, 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 blah.
It was one of those conundrums that we have a program we're putting through, and I've said it repeatedly, and I don't know how many more ways to say. I knew Kurt Schilling was interested in coming to Rhode Island. I knew Kurt Schilling, you're hearing it live, folks, that was interested in $75 million, but I took it as we'll create programs, let the people who are supposed to be vested with the intelligence, articulation, getting the details done, to see if that man was a company was eligible for $1 or for nothing.
I'm sorry, did you say you knew that he was interested in $75 million?
What an amount was. I knew he was interested in here and coming getting a loan guarantee.
Did you?
Attaboy, Timmy. I can't wait to see this show on Sunday. Hey, Gordon, I got a seat right over here, buddy. You created a phantom vote in the General Assembly for a $125 million loan guarantee exclusively for the reason that you wanted Kurt Schilling's deal funded. And someday you're going to cough up the truth about why that was so important and why you hid that from the General Assembly. We knew. I can't wait to see this, this little dance. By the way, you don't dance around Tim White very often. We'll have more excerpts on Monday from the Sunday show. I have no doubt about that. Studying the sales tax, studying and studying and studying. They had a hearing yesterday because the best the General Assembly could do is put a panel together, as the headline indicates. In this last legislative session, they couldn't come up with a big idea to save their doggone lives, so they come up with another panel to discuss the pros and the cons of a state sales tax repeal. You know what we need to do? We need to develop a big idea, okay? We need a big idea to shake the economic structure of this state. So here's what I'd like you to do. At the end of the broadcast today, we put up the graphic that says how you can email me or call me, stateofmind@myRITV.com. Don't worry, Rox, we'll hold the graphic for later. All I have to do is throw that at her. She goes, what? But here's the thing. I need you to email me. I need you to call me. I want your big idea, because if it's not an elimination of the sales tax, it's got to be something. We have got to change the dynamic of the economy in this state, and we've got to do it toot sweet. So the Miss America thing, and you can go all through whether or not the the Miss America pageant is a worthwhile exercise and all the kind of thing. But have you seen the picture of the 12-to-1 shot? Now I'm putting my glasses on for good reason. I have to do some reading on her stomach. 12-to-1 shot, Teresa Vale. Yeah, Vegas runs odds on this. You can get a triple, you can get exacta, you can get all that kind of stuff. She's a pretty impressive person. First of all, she's an Army sergeant. She's a grad of Kansas State University with 2 degrees. And she's got this thing on her chest. Well, not on her chest. Dan, behave yourself. Let me look this up because I want to read it to you. You know what's on her chest? That's the second time I made the mistake. Obviously, you can't take me anywhere. What's on her rib cage? The Serenity Prayer, which says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. She should have the wisdom to know you cannot win the Miss America pageant with a script on your belly. Now, I brought this up on the radio program, and this woman, Mary, kind of hit it on the head in terms of the remorse that comes.
I have a tattoo. I'm 53, 54. And I got it up on Broad Street.
Wait a second. Which one are you, 53 or 54?
54.
That was funny. Go ahead.
But I got a tattoo up on Broad Street when I was in college.
Yeah.
And what these kids don't realize, and it's in a place where only myself, my husband, and my gynecologist can see it. If they don't realize these things are going to fade, they're going to stretch, they're going to become very ugly over time.
And despite the civil liberties and the individuality and being myself and writing about myself on my tummy, the message to the kids watching this is, go ahead and do this. Not a good one. You know what else is not too good? The receivers from the Patriots. Listen, we got the best quarterback in the NFL, arguably, right, in Tom Brady, and the poor guy can't complete a pass to anybody because they can't catch one. I don't know if you saw the game last night versus the Jets, but let me just say to the receivers on the New England Patriots, you cannot play the Bills and the Jets every week. Guys, get it together, or this is not going to be the Super Bowl season that so many in Patriot Nation are hoping for. When we come back, Marianne Sorrentino, she needs no introduction, and she'll pick a fight or two with me and maybe even you. Stay with us. Welcome in. Marianne Sorrentino needs no introduction. I called Marianne the other day just to say hello and say, hey, would you ever like to, hang out on the TV show with me and be a kind of a go-to person? And I hope you will be. It's so good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
You are legendary for your talk radio stuff, and of course you're a columnist, you're an author, and you're an advocate in the Planned Parenthood arena. But of course, it doesn't matter what is going. You're always thinking about something that's going on. And what you started on me was the Cranston floods, right? The Dean Estates. You told me don't pick on my neighborhood the other day when we were talking about it.
Well, yeah, you were talking about. I hear all these shows and read a lot of stuff about the flood last week, and I live right across the street from that apartment building. You cross Oakland Avenue, and then there's a wall, and then there are these condos, and that's where I live. And I went out on the little porch off our dining room, and it was really raining like hell, and I looked across the street, and I noticed I couldn't see the curb. And then about 5 minutes later, I went out, and I realized that the cars across the street, the water was up to the tires. And 15 minutes later, it's up to the doors. Then I saw boats. I said, oh, I'm in Venice. And then the firemen coming down Oakland Avenue, trucks, people stuck in the car. And then I noticed the water isn't clean. And I realized that the sewers were coming in. And there were people being boated out.
That's when you knew it wasn't Venice.
Well, no, because Venice has that too.
That's true.
It's just a different variety, but it's the same stuff. Anyway, but nobody's talking about the Cranston Zoning Board, which is what I wonder about. Because Cranston is famous for whenever we have these terrible rainstorms and there's flooding, it's Cranston. Now, why there are buildings of this magnitude with all these people living in them on what is probably a floodplain is the question to me. Because somebody has to approve these buildings. They're not old, they're not new like last week, but I would like to know more about how these various constructions got approved. Because in Cranston, as the residents of Cranston know, we have repeatedly the same neighborhoods underwater, and people get killed because they
But
lose their
this one was extraordinary. What I was saying is, hey, look, you know what? I don't want to. No more hide the blame game. Someone's got to just let it all hang out. Let's not worry about penance. Let's fix this, because nobody in 2013, whether they live in Cranston or East Kabib, should have to deal with this kind of a thing over a half-hour rainstorm.
No, exactly,
right?
Exactly.
Right.
And the latest news, I think it was the building inspector talked about all the water coming from my side of the street. So if you're coming down Oakland Avenue towards where that complex is that got flooded, and you look to the right, there's a massive stone wall that goes all the length of Oakland Avenue at that point. And then high above that, there are buildings. There are homes, private homes, there are condos, and they're all like this. And so naturally the water's like all like that. And the manager, I believe, of the complex said there was like Niagara Falls coming into Oakland Avenue. I don't know how that happens, but I think that's one of the things they need to do. And I live there.
All right, so heed the advice, a little look-see at the zoning board. All right, so you know what I'm going to do? Here's what I'm going to do, because this might take a couple minutes. You saw the bishop the other night, right?
I only came on today because since you went through all the trouble of having Bishop Tobin be my warm-up act, I felt I had to show up.
All right, hold your thought. We're going to pause here, because I don't want to have to break up her momentum on this conversation. She doesn't like some of the things the bishop has had to say. Surprise, surprise. We'll be right back. All right, Marianne Sorrentino. Yes, Marianne Sorrentino is here. Columnist, author, advocate, and antagonist to Bishop Tobin. What did he say?
Well, you had the bishop on as your first guest. I want to also flag the fact that I'm the first woman guest that you've had, even though more than 50% of the population everywhere is female.
It only took 4 days.
I understand, but...
What if I have 3 next week?
Well, I hope you have 5.
No, I got your quota in my head all day long. I got to worry about that?
You
Well,
should.
anyway, here's what the bishop... But one of the things the bishop and I were lamenting the same-sex marriage situation together. No apologies for that, but here's a small snippet.
Frankly, I hoped for and prayed for better for our state, because I think it's a very bad development, and that's why we resisted it as strongly as we could. Yeah, I'm very disappointed in that, and I think a lot of people are.
What?
Who's we? Him and the Holy Ghost? I mean, he's one guy. All right, he resisted. The Holy Father.
How much time do we have for this segment? Am I going to join in excommunication by the time this whole thing is done?
You should be so lucky. It'll do something for your ratings, I'll say that. He says that he doesn't like this. The Pope gets on the air and says, you know, I like gay people. I love them. These are my brothers and whatever. And so
he says, come on now, he has no issue with people who happen to be gay. It's a concept and it's an institution that he's trying to defend. I don't think the Pope said anything differently.
Here's what I want to point out, bottom line. Bishop Tobin is more powerful than the average guy or gal in the legislature here in Rhode Island. He's a politician, don't ever forget that. And as a politician, he wields a great deal of influence. Nobody knows that better than I do. Now, Bishop Tobin, as a politician, has a constituency, namely Catholics in Rhode Island, who don't agree with him in huge numbers on practically anything that he stands for, that he says, that he feels strongly about choice, about women in the church and their role there, about gays.
Well, what does that say? Does that speak to his leadership and church doctrine?
No, what it speaks to is the fact that
the moving trends of people away from the core church teaching.
Whatever it speaks to, the sense of the faithful is not with him, and the sense of the faithful in Catholic theology and doctrine is really what matters. And the sense of the faithful disagree so much with so much of what this man says that if he were an elected official, you would be on the air every day saying, throw this bum out. Nobody's listening to him. He's ineffective.
I think there's a silent majority of Catholics who, admittedly, are susceptible to a little bit of cafeteria-ism in terms of issue to issue, but in the sense that most Catholics really are still focused, if they are well learned on their faith, that it's about the Eucharist when it starts and ends, that they deal with the struggles of modern issues and what they think about it and what they're told to think about it. And listen, it's not something we're going to solve in 5 or 6 minutes.
No.
But I'm trying to figure
out 20 years.
Right. Well, I'm trying to figure out what your ultimate goal in bringing him up and defining him as a politician. Well, I mean, he certainly has entered the First Amendment arena in a very aggressive way.
And he's entitled.
Right.
I mean, he's entitled until he jeopardizes his 501c3. But for the moment, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about.
Have you noticed how she just drops a little bomb, a little here, as if all of a sudden Target 12 ought to be investigating the bishop? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay, good.
I wouldn't waste my time because even if they found out the truth, we've had the truth before and it stayed in a can. It never got on the air. So I'm just saying that
What are you just saying?
I'm saying the guy's a powerful guy politically.
No doubt.
He shoots off his mouth endlessly. You all cover it and you all kowtow. You're a fan. I understand. I'm not.
I'm a practicing Catholic
Yeah, right.
who's still holding on.
Well, call me when you finish practicing and you know what the hell it's about. But in any case.
There's never a human perfection goal that is reached.
No, I understand that.
So I say it some other way other than practicing? How should I say it?
No. But all I'm saying is.
If I say devout, people think that I'm a holy roller.
Talk radio hosts spend their days on the air banging politicians. And if they say things and they do. Let me give you an example. President Obama did this, and he talked every day about things, and the things never happened, and nobody cared, nobody listened to him, nobody believed in anything he's saying, and we're getting to that point. You'd be banging him, saying, what's he doing? This is a waste of time. The bishop talks about things that are so far removed from reality, and his own flock, in large numbers, maybe majorities in a lot of cases, don't believe or agree. And nobody says a word. They all just say, oh, isn't he wonderful? Well, I think he should be called on the fact.
Well, you just did, which is why I love you, because you articulate your opinions with no fear.
They already kicked me out. What are they going to do? Burn me at the stake? I'm waiting.
I get it. But you know what? There's a respect that most people still feel is due a religious leader. I think there's a lot of truth in terms of his sway and the politics of the church, and I think he'd hardly deny being a vocal leader has got to do with a lot of that dynamic. But at the end of the day, only you would refer to the bishop as someone who shoots off his mouth, which is why you're special. Bishop, I apologize.
I don't.
Are you still writing real quick?
Yeah, of course I'm writing.
And
I'm writing even in the journal.
Well, tell me about that. When can we read you in the journal?
Well, I don't know, whatever day Ed Acorns puts it in, but it's in once a month. It was in just this
What's the next piece on?
I don't know yet. I think it's going to be on dual citizenship and why so many Italian Americans feel that they need to do this. I already.
Well, here's the deal. When you write one, come here and talk about it, will you?
All right, I'll do that.
It's good to see you.
Thank you.
I'll pray for you.
Good luck with this.
I'm going to pray for you.
Oh, please, I hate that. I'll pray for you too.
Your state of mind. I get picked on again. Stay with us. I'm still recovering from Mary Ann. She's gone now. But she'll be back though. I can promise you. Your State of Mind, where I receive your voicemails and your emails. This is another one. You ready for this one? I have to use my glasses to read. Are you ready? You'll understand why. Go ahead, put that up, Rox. Thanks. I like your TV show, but you've got to lose the glasses. On and off and holding them is an affectation. Get contacts or make your notes larger. Okay, look. Now you guys have crossed the line. First of all, I mentioned this to my wife, and she said, let me see the glasses. She said, why are you wearing those glasses? Those are women's glasses. These are the only ones that aren't broken, tilted, whatever, that I own, other than the ones I use in the radio office, which I have under lock and key. So here's what I promise. This weekend, I'll buy nicer glasses. But I'm not for this show, or not for any other thing. I'm not getting contacts. And you know what? If this is not an affectation, I am not making this up to try to look smart. I'm 52 years old, and I can't see a thing past my nose in front of me. So if this is you got to deal with it, man. What can I tell you? But you know what? Whether it's positive or negative feedback, I want to hear from you at Your State of Mind. It's amazing. In television, the kind of thing, I thought there was feedback from radio. 1 week with this terrific project, and I'm hearing about things I never thought I'd hear about. My glasses. I'll get a better pair for the weekend. State of Mind at myRITV.com or 228-1886. Leave a voicemail message. You'll hear your voice on the air, and of course on social media as well at Dan Yorke Show. Listen, as I said at the top of the show, sales tax or whatever big idea you have, we need big ideas. And so if you have a big idea, write it to me at State of Mind at myRITV.com, and maybe you'll be here explaining it. You have a great weekend. It was a good first week. I enjoyed it. I'll go to confession and be back Monday at 7:30 on myRITV on Dan Yorke State of Mind. Good night.